This, to me, is where we draw the line and make it clear that 2026 is not going to be business as usual. 2026 is going to be a serious conversation about the future of the citizens of Uganda. What benefits them? How can we raise the standards? How can we improve on what was done? Not to misrepresent history, but to organize ourselves to be the determinant of the future of the citizens of Uganda. So, warning is out that this revision of history is not going to stand. And I'll urge all of you members of the press, the first program which you can call a real program, which the NRM produced, was known as the Rehabilitation and Development Plan. But I can tell you, and without any fear of contradiction anywhere, that first program released was the revised recovery program, which was to be issued in September of 1985. UPC didn't have the chance to issue it because we were overthrown. The wording of the project profiles, if you look at all the work to be done and you compare it with the UPC recovery program, it is called absolute plagiarization. I don't know what they call it these days when somebody copies your work. Yeah, but I mean, anybody should look at it. So those who are condemning and trying to run UPC down, the program which NRM started standing on, which started doing some work for the city of Uganda, was a UPC program. And I challenge them, let them contradict me. Let them prove me wrong. You will see the revised recovery program and the rehabilitation and development plan are word-for-word plagiarizations. It's no secret. But I think there are people who have never bothered to really look at the detail. But I promise, as we go to 2026, all of these things will be laid bare. And let us, as Ugandans, have a serious conversation of where we're going, where we want to be, and what potential we have. Brilliant health professionals. But the motivation, the support, the tools with which they work with, is not befitting of somebody who has gone through the process to achieve so much. Let us honor them because they play a very important role in our society. So as we head to independence, let's reflect from where we came from. What was the dream of independence? Is that all citizens of Uganda can enjoy and share in this wonderful country God blessed us with. Let us honor that dream and work for the citizens of Uganda. I say all of this for God and my country. Education was the backbone, and it was through agriculture that you're able to get people educated and get different skills. So, in my case, my grandparents were cotton farmers, and it is cotton which educated my father. So, the basis from the agriculture side has been across board. Very many people who are able to succeed, it was on the background of agriculture and supporting those who are producing. Now, the cooperatives were there to support their members to produce. The marketing board was to help get the product from the farmer and get it out to the markets which were there. And therefore, there was an active attempt by these institutions, which you will not say were completely government because these were owned by the cooperatives, which were members' organizations, to get our exports out. So we still need to look at what do we have, where do we have an advantage, what we can produce and how we can access those markets. But at the same time, we need to be training our manpower in a way whereby that manpower will be able to handle different aspects of living. The more we develop, you need more specialization at different fields. And therefore, there will have to be some level of disconnect. But still, there's a huge percentage of Ugandans which still rely on agriculture, and therefore we must find ways of how we can deal with it and help it become strong. I mean, there are people who have said that the cooperatives were largely destroyed because of the background of association with UPC. But there's been nothing which has replaced them. All these attempts which he was raising, all these programs, then you're having circles which are not clearly defined to to try and replace what role the cooperatives played in helping the production. So Uganda is blessed, but we now have to access those blessings in order to be able to gain an advantage in regional and international markets. At the same time, we need to develop our manpower according to the needs for the future. How many advisors are there? There are hundreds of advisors. There are hundreds of people with all sorts of positions, but we need to look at what really works for the citizens. Not to have a bloated government structure which does not deliver. If it was delivering and delivering in an efficient way whereby we can see the benefits, it's a different question. Now, yes, we are trying to cut losses, but we're still very far from where you can actually say that our public expenditure is befitting for economy our size and is working for the citizens of Uganda. The census and the communities of obviously which will, how do you explain a reduction in population? It does not add up, it does not make sense. And therefore, it's right to question that, was this money well spent? If there are such glaring mistakes in what the outcome was. But obviously, you may also look at it that there were attempts to manipulate the population figures. And that one will be looked at in preparation of rigging the 2026 election in advance. So you don't put anything aside from people who will do all sorts of schemes to maintain power. But we should actually have the right information in order to be able to plan effectively. You must really know what is there. You must know what your population is, what condition they're living in, and in order to be able to come up with a proper effective plan which can enhance the quality of life which the citizens have. So if you have poor input data, the output will also be just as poor. You will not be able to come up with something effective, and you will not be able to cater for all those who needed to have been catered for in whichever plans are going to be devised for the future of the citizen. What the facts show is something totally different. Now, when you look at the 80s, throughout the period of the 80s, the average per capita income during that period was just below $300. But you look at the conditions whereby you did not have people who are earning multi-billion or multi-millions of dollars. That reflected what the common man had in the pocket. What the common man was able to access from the sale of whether it is cotton, coffee, or whatever produce. Now, to put it in context, you say figures don't lie. Many of us here are parents. How much does it cost to educate a child today? Now, Uganda government allocates 20,000 shillings in the budget per child in primary. One child, 20,000 for 1 year. And it's not guaranteed that because there's 20,000 in the budget, it is going to be released and reach that child. If you're saying we have these multi-billions, but the child of Uganda, the future of Uganda, you only allocate 20,000 out of those billions, who are you working for? When Pineti talks, money is there. But this child, the Ugandan child born in a village of Uganda, 20,000 shillings per year. Is that a correct economy? Is that justice? Are you doing justice? We need to improve our child's future, and you're giving them 20,000. Now, you say about figures. I read this issue where they said the exchange rate was fixed at 1,400. Mark you, now you remove the 2 zeros to come to today's currency. So effectively, the dollar was 14 shillings in 1986. Today it's how much? 3,000? Put your 3,700, divide by 14, gives you 200 and something. For percentage, you put 100, multiply by 100. So the shilling of today has depreciated by over 20,000% from the shilling of 1986. You want figures of 86? It has depreciated by over 20,000%. Depreciation. Is that not a figure? You say figures don't lie. That's a figure. The dollar today to the 14 shillings when they shot themselves to power. What is the depreciation? So if you had your wealth in shillings, you are pauper. And there are many people who are able to manage their lives, able to raise their children, able to educate their children, who cannot do so today. Those are the ones I'm fighting justice for. That let every child have an opportunity in Uganda. Let every Ugandan have an opportunity to succeed. And there were systems put in place to look for those bright children, to give them opportunities to be able to succeed. The education system was built around the issue of developing our manpower for the benefit of Ugandans. And that's what I'll stand for. So I will defend my record, and the figures also don't lie. Depreciation of over 27,000%. That's the reality. Let them quote that figure. We're going to discuss as Ugandans how we're going to be able to develop our citizens, how they're able to benefit. That's where the alternatives will come, and they'll be clear in the manifesto, and that's the conversation which we're going to struggle for, and it's going to be voted on. And we go through this every election cycle. There'll be talk of reforms, there'll be some discussion of reforms, people run around, but the dance remains the same thing. We go through the same process and we end up at the same point. So I am preparing for an election under presidential basis. This talk, as far as I know, it's to distract, to confuse people, to mislead people. All of this is being done to throw things around. Even the issue accusation of the Electoral Commission, I want that one totally unpacked. And if they're serious about electronic voting, I will offer UPC to test it. In our process where we're going to be electing from the village, you bring your electronic system, let us see how it works. We'll run our paper system, we'll run our own system, and we'll be able to tell you whether the whole system is rigged from the beginning, but not to ambush us in 2026, like you're going to go for electronic, where you have not done the preparation. So, many of these issues change a lot of dynamics. Parliamentary system, you have parliamentary democracies, which are democracies. But parliamentary system is completely different. And for parliamentary system to work effectively, we need more responsive and robust parties with clear political platforms. But I honestly don't believe that there's a serious push towards a parliamentary system. I think this is also just to occupy people's attention. But some of us are not going to lose focus. And we're going to continue and maintain our push to have a difference in the livelihood of the citizens. And there are things which cannot work. When you go for an election, you go with your platform. You go with your own ideas and policies. How the elections pan out will determine which government is in power, which one is the leading opposition, and the rest. So already you come to parliament with your policy positions. So I don't see where a party which did not stand on that policy platform has a say in that debate on that question. Let's leave it to the parties. We sort ourselves out. When the electorates are finished, we will deal with it at that stage. Educate their children. They're losing everything in that process. But the system does not treasure the citizens of Uganda. The economy of Uganda was supposed to benefit the citizens of Uganda, not the citizens to benefit the economy. These days people talk about money, 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 but where is the money coming? Is it working for the citizens? We boast about fish exports, but around the fishing communities, all around the lakes, you're finding malnutrition because people can no longer afford the cheapest protein, which was fish. The fish is now for export, not for the citizens of Uganda, not the children of Uganda.